What up? What up? What up? What's happening, man? I appreciate y'all checking me out as always. Listen, I've been glued to my seat all day. Been so much sports going on top of all the NBA playoff games. First day of the actual playoffs, not the stupid ass play-in. Had some really good UFC fights on. I couldn't wait till the last fight. Had to check my boy Max out. Should get this one. It wasn't an easy fight though. If you went to that, I expect Max to win this fight. But anyway, these hoop games, man, so much action. I mean, it's so much action. We'll start with the first game, obviously being the Nets and the Sixers at 1:00. That game was interesting. It was interesting. I mean, the Nets, they got whooped on. The Nets got whooped on, which is honestly to be expected. But look, man, the Sixers are not. They listen. Today was a good day for the Sixers. All right. I mean, basically, Mikal Bridges is the only offensive player that the Nets got. He went 12 for 18. They found a way to shut him down in the second half. I think he went for 30. I think he had 30 points. Played really good, though. I mean, the thing about it is, again, he practically the only offensive player that they got. I think that they could have stole this game if they hadn't had so many turnovers, and they were self-inflicted turnovers. I mean, I had to watch Spencer Dinwiddie, and I like Spence, but I had to watch him throw at least 8 alley-oops that were absolutely not on the mark, which is crazy to me because I consider Spencer Dinwiddie, I guess, more of a point guard than a scoring guard. But you know that alley-oop pass just wasn't there today. It was like he was just throwing it up, and it was just completely off the mark. But they had a lot of self-inflicted turnovers. Now, don't get me wrong, the Sixers got a really good defense, one of the best in the league for sure. Actually, I like to know where they rank at. I'm pretty sure they top 5, top 3, top 5 as far as defensive rating, which is to be expected. It's a Doc Rivers team, and normally he had really good, pretty solid defensive teams. DeAnthony Melton is one of the best defensive guards in the league. Joel Embiid is not exactly a rim protector, not what I would consider a rim protector, but he, got enough size and hustle to alter shots and, make defensive plays. And he made enough defensive plays today. The big story is the amount of tray balls that the Sixers made. I would not expect them to keep that up throughout the whole series or throughout the whole playoffs, however long that may be, which I got them getting a second round exit personally. I mean, depending on who they play. But I that's just been my thing all season long. Second round exit for the Sixers. I wouldn't expect them to sit up and make all of the trade balls that they made today, though. The Nets had a really solid, to me, I think it was a good idea, doubling up Joel Embiid, doubling up James Harden, too. Kind of trying to force everybody else to make plays and score the ball. I mean, they got guys who can score. Don't get me wrong. Shout out to PJ Tucker. His hustle play, his hustle really came into play today. Joel Embiid, the problem is really Joel Embiid, his gravitational pull, man. You can try to double this guy when he got the ball under the 3-point line. The problem is, though, I mean, you got a guy that's commanding a double team. Maybe you don't have to double team James Harden. But I think that you have to, especially since you got a lack of size over there in Brooklyn. I think it's important to go ahead, and I think you should keep up with that game plan. Let's go ahead, keep double teaming Joel Embiid, especially below the 3-point line or anytime he get down in that painted area. Try to force the ball out of his hands. I think he might have finished with like 7 or 8 assists or something like that. I don't know, 6 or 7 assists. Is a really good game efficiently for Philly. But again, it's just not something I expect them to keep up throughout the whole series or throughout the whole playoffs. Obviously, they'll run through the Nets. The Nets probably get one game out of this. I could see them getting squeezed in one game out. They won't win the series though. It's so much on Mikal Bridges to score. Again, he scored 30 today, and that just wasn't enough. You got to get these other guys going, but it's really hard. What do you do? Who do you put in? Who do you really put in? It's really not much you can do. Can't really rely on anybody else to give you 25 points per game, 20 to 25 points on a consistent basis over there. And it's really a shock that Mikal Bridges, if you had told me that Mikal Bridges was going to come over to Brooklyn and average 25 points per game, I would not have. I don't know if I would have believed that. But, again, it's the only guy we really got over there. Not to say that anybody else didn't step up. I think Cam Johnson, Seth Curry really made some big shots down the stretch, or at least trying to fight to keep them in it was just too much, too many trade balls, way too many trade balls by the Sixers. They got to do a better job of trying to run those dudes off the line. Philly came with it today, so I got to give them their credit. I got to give them their props. But again, if the Nets can turn, if they could slow down, if they could relax a little bit on those turnovers, I think what this game showed me today is that the Sixers are not undefeatable. I just say that because, again, it just too many turnovers by the Nets. Way too many turnovers by the Nets. Second game 2, Boston versus Atlanta. It's just no competition. No competition. The Celtics, they way too big for the Hawks over there. Way too much depth, way too much IQ, way too much defensive intensity. I would say that the one thing about the Celtics, the one knock that I do have, is that they have to be able to keep up they hunger level. Where it's like they get kind of content. They kind of start resting throughout the game, and well, at least from what I saw today. And you can't really do that. You can't do that. This is the playoffs. Obviously, it's only round 1, but the deeper off you get into the playoffs, once you got that lead, man, you got to keep your foot on the pedal. Have to keep your foot on the pedal. If you want to make it back to the Eastern Conference Finals or the finals in general, in which that's what I think they'll do. I'm sticking with my pick as the Boston Celtics winning the whole thing. Huge Antetokounmpo fan. Coming out of the East, I think it'll come down to those two teams. I think it'll be the Bucks and the Celtics, and I think the Celtics will pull it off and go back to the finals. It's just a lot of depth over there, a lot of IQ. I mean, all of their guards are two-way guards. All of their players actually are two-way players when you look at it. I just don't really see any flaws in this team other than, again, not keeping their foot on the pedal. And maybe they could use a little more offensive effort from Robert Williams, but that's not his playing type. He's a guy who's gonna get you some rebounds, some hustle points, little bit of defensive intensity. I think with the Atlanta Hawks, it's just, it'll probably be a sweep. I got it being a sweep, maybe a gentleman's, but I got it being a sweep. It's too many chemistry issues over there. It's kind of weird over there in Atlanta. They got rid of Nate McMillan later on in the season, and then they ended up making a playoff push once Quinn Snyder came in. And I'd have a problem with Quinn Snyder, but it's a lot to ask for you to fix a team at the end of the season. A team that was already having chemistry issues. We hear trade rumors for the past 2 or 3 years from John Collins about John Collins. Then you bring in DeJounte Murray. You think maybe figure he'll help stabilize him a little bit. And I think that he can. I think that he complements Trae Young pretty damn good because, again, this is one of the best two-way guards in the league. I think Trae Young is one of the – I personally have Trae Young being an all-NBA player this year. I would, probably third team. I'm not really sure. Third team, second team. I've still been trying to figure that out. Because we're talking about a top 10 scorer and shit, was he a top 10 scorer, top 5 scorer? As far as total points, I ain't talking about that average shit. Think he played about 70 games this season. I would say that he, you know, and again, he led the league and he's the real assist champ. I would say that Trae Young is, you know, all NBA player. I just would like to see him play off ball a little bit more and let DeJounte Murray, because he's not a shooter. You know what I mean? DeJounte Murray can score, but he's not a shooter. He's more of a facilitator than he is a scorer, in my opinion. Not that he can't score. I just think he's a better facilitator. And I would like to see the ball in his hands more. And let's see Trae Young, at least throughout the playoffs. Well, as long as that's going to last, let's see Trae Young play off the ball a little bit more. I don't think you have to break this team up or make no trades. I don't really see how you get better from here. I think maybe adding another, maybe a big who can get you some buckets, man, because, you know, you got Capella. He can alter shots, not exactly a rim protector no more at this stage of his career. Get you some rebounds, good hustle points. He can alter shots. The other guy, I can't pronounce his name, the African kid. He pretty good, pretty solid, at least solid backup. John Collins is just a guy really, you know, more so known for his athleticism and his rebounding ability. But all in all, I think they need somebody who can put pressure on the rim. You know what I mean? Just somebody who can put pressure on the rim. Help take a look, because they got plenty of shooters, or enough shooters. They got Sadiq Bey, not Kevin Huerter, Bobo. They got Bobo over there. Again, Trae Young. They got guys who can score along the perimeter. I just think they need somebody to, you know, put a little bit of pressure down low. So it'll be interesting to see how they end up doing with that team. It's just, again, it's a very weird team. Atlanta is. No chemistry, very little chemistry. Is still developing, and that's good. You know, this is a good test for them throughout the playoffs. It's a good playoff experience. I think the fact that they made the playoffs, I don't think that you should let anybody on that team go, including John Collins. I think you keep him around. I think Coach Snyder wanted to see him take more Trae balls. I just don't think that's necessarily a good idea, but you know, maybe you take more, you make more. I guess that's the philosophy there. Spread the floor up a little bit more. Game three. New York, man. New York. That was a big road win. Was that the only road win? I think that was the only road win today. And listen, I said this before, man. Whoever the New York Knicks face, they gonna give them issues. If you look at this team, it's not. I mean, it's just a gritty defensive Tom Thibodeau team. It's not really. It's not really one of, you know, before Thibodeau was dealing with guys. He had Derrick Rose, he had Luol Deng, he had Jimmy Butler before, Karl Anthony Towns and them over in Minnesota. He didn't have him some superstars, some great star power throughout his career. When you look at this team right here, though, it's not really that. Jalen Brunson is a damn good leader. I really struggle with myself putting him on an all NBA team. It's just so much fucking talent in the league these days, man. It's really hard to say who should be all NBA players or where they should rank. You know what I mean? You got so many guys that's deserving of it. And even still, I think Jalen Brunson, the way he was able to come over and stabilize this Knicks team and actually give them, I don't want to say give him an identity. It's just leadership that he provide over there. It's a calmness that he bring. If you see Julius Randle out there, Julius Randle is an all NBA player. I will probably put him on the first team. We could talk about that. Actually, we will talk about that once I finish putting my list together. But Julius Randle I mean, this is a dude that just didn't won me over. Now, he's not going to pass the fucking ball at all. Julius Randle is not a guy that's going to look to pass the ball. But when it comes to his rebounding, he's one of the best rebounders in the league. And he can score the ball. He can shoot. He can score at all three levels. All right. And I really like what Julius Randle brings, but sometimes he get a little too beside himself. Is he a power forward? Is he a small forward? He's not really a guy who can handle the ball, but he just get a little bit beside himself, a little bit, a lot of bit, more times than not. And I think that when you bring Jalen Brunson in, this is why he's an all NBA player. Brunson, I mean, because he just comes and he stabilizes this team. All right. Again, there's not a lot of there's no star power over there. There's no superstars over there. I would call Randall a star. I would call Jalen Brunson a star. I think bringing in Josh Hart was a damn good move, especially, again, we talking about a gritty Tom Thibodeau team, and he just come and he bring that extra grit over there. All right. And I really like what I see from the Knicks. I think that whoever they face, even after, because I got them beating Cleveland. I do. I got him getting Cleveland. Donovan Mitchell is fucking, man. How good is Donovan Mitchell, man? I mean, how good has he been since he's been in the league? This is why I have issues putting together my all NBA team, because I mean, when you look at what he's been able to do over there, this dude has got to be a first teamer. He has to be a first teamer. I don't know if I got him. Let me see where I got him at, just so I can give you kind of an idea on what I think about the all NBA guys, man. But Donovan Mitchell, man, he got to be considered an all NBA first teamer. This dude is good, man. Let's see. Well, I put Ant-Man and Fox on the first team originally. Again, I'm making some changes, but I don't know, man. I think Donovan Mitchell, just because his level of consistency is so good, man. I like Darius Garland over there. Isaac Okoro took way too many trey balls. He was open all game. They pretty much let him take that shot. And he's not going to knock very many of them down, so I expect that to keep being a game plan going forward. As Evan Mobley is a defensive of the year candidate, he probably finished second because I feel like they won't give it to Jaren Jackson. As good as Evan Mobley is on defense, he absolutely has to pick it up on the offensive end if Cleveland gonna have a chance of winning this one, because we know that Jared Allen is not a good offensive player. Very good defensive player, very good rebounder. I like Jared Allen a lot. But Evan Mobley has to be the guy to be able to, I don't want to say dominate the paint, but make a difference around the rim, around the basket. He has to put pressure on the bigs over there, because as good as I think Mitch Robb is on defense as a rim protector, I just don't, I think that he can be, if your big is putting the pressure on him, he can be practically taken out of the game. All right. You can make it to where you might want to bench Mitch Robb if the bigs get a little more aggressive. So that's going to be on Evan Mobley to figure that out, how he can get involved more offensively. But all in all, I think that the Knicks are going to win this series. I love the pace that they play at. The pace that they play at it's a hustle team. It's a defensive team. And to me, that's how you win. I think that's where you win it in. And we'll kind of touch on that. We'll kind of touch on that when we talk about the Warriors and the Kings. But I think that defense is where it's at. If you can make the hustle plays, the loose balls, the offensive rebounds, and just lock in on defense, man. I think that's the way to win. And I don't know how far that'll carry the Knicks, because again, they don't have a lot of offensive firepower, and we know that this is a faster paced league, and this is one of the slower paced league teams in the league. But I think they can push any team in the Eastern Conference, especially, to 7 games. I think that they've proven that. And again, it's just somebody I pretty much suspected that they would be giving anybody fits, whoever they played, met in the first round, especially. And I think that they're going to get Cleveland. I think they'll get Cleveland in 6, maybe it'll go 7. But I see them getting Cleveland. All right. That first game, that first road win, that was huge boost for their confidence, I'm sure. And again, even with this game, it looked like they was gonna run away with it, but Jalen Brunson got into a little foul trouble in the first half. I think he had like 3 fouls in the first quarter, at least early in the second quarter, and it forced Tibbs to bench him. But if he can stay out of foul trouble, man, the Cavs are in trouble. Darius Garland is another dude who had a quiet game. I think if you can get him going a little bit more offensively, I don't really know how you do that. To me, it boils down to Evan Mobley. I'll leave it there. I think it boils down to Evan Mobley as a pretty exciting series. Very excited to see how that one gonna turn out. Also, man, the Sacramento Kings and the Golden State Warriors, boy, oh boy, did not let me down, not one bit. I mean, that was a hell of a game. One thing that bothered me, I'm so sick and fucking tired of him hearing the term him. He's him. I had to hear them refer to De'Aaron Fox as him, and Himothy, and all that little chatty shit, man, so many times today. That it's just fucking annoying. Listen, if everybody is him, nobody is him. Yeah, all right. It can only be one him. If everybody is him, nobody is him. And they call everybody him. Himothy, him. Man, that shit is chatty. This shit chatty. Kid, let's figure out the next term, all right? Even though I gotta give D Fox his credit, because if I'm not mistaken, this dude he has been over this season the most clutch fourth quarter player in the league. That's huge. That's really huge. And again, that's what between him and Malik Monk, Domantas Sabonis had a really, and this is another guy who is on my All-NBA second team. Yes, Domantas Sabonis is absolutely on my All-NBA second team. All right. He actually would be on my All-NBA first team, but it's very, very hard to deny Jokic and what his triple-double shits. Embiid is on my third team, but that's a whole nother conversation. It's just another conversation for another day. Domantas Sabonis today, he was off offensively, but again, he led the league in double-doubles. He's three assists away on average of averaging a triple-double. He played at least 70 games. You know what I mean? He actually is spearheading. This dude is the point guard of a team. He's the point guard of a team who ain't been in the playoffs in years, 15 years, 16-year drop since they've been in the playoffs. So, yeah, Domantas Sabonis is on my All-NBA second team. Again, he was off offensively, but the pace that the Kings play at is really, really, really going to put the pressure on the Golden State Warriors, the defending champs. And listen, I still like the Warriors to come out on top of this. I think that Andrew Wiggins, White Dante, even Jonathan Kuminga, man, I think these dudes, I mean, there's so much depth over there, and they do actually have a defensive intensity. The Kings don't have a defensive intensity, all right? This was a close road game. I think the philosophy of Mike Brown is push the pedal to the metal, open shots, take open shots, let it fly. I think that we know that he came from the bench over there. He won some chips over there. I think he won 3 rings over there with Golden State. So obviously he picked up a lot of their offensive philosophy. Let it rip, let it rip, let it rip. Let's run, let's run, let's run. And they do have the guys to let it rip and run. Malik Monk, man, what he been able to come over there and do. You talk about most improved player again. It's so much talent throughout the league right now, and it's only getting better. It's making it so hard to even figure out who deserves what award, man. It's really hard. I think Malik Monk is a guy that you have to look at as possibly most improved. He played really well with LA, and now he over here with Sacramento. And I mean, He's a part of the three-headed monster over there. And because it's a three-headed monster offensively between Sabonis, De'Aaron Fox, and Malik Monk. And then you got great complementary players around him. Trey Lyles is a guy that I'm really not a big fan of, but he works for the Sacramento Kings. All right. He just kind of does a little bit of everything. Maybe not an ideal player offensively. I mean, defensively, hell, or offensively for that matter, but he can knock down shots. He can make hustle plays. He will put his body on the line. All right. He's not just really exactly what you will call a pushover. You got guys like Keegan Murray. I'm a big Keegan Murray fan. I really would have liked the Detroit Pistons to be able to pick him up. Kevin Huerter over there. I mean, they just got Harrison Barnes, who got some championship experience. Those dudes, they good over there, man. But I think with the defensive intensity of Draymond, the championship experience, the only thing that might get the best of the Warriors as far as the Kings go is the age of Klay Thompson. You got a guy in Jordan Poole who you don't really know what you will get day in and day out. Klay Thompson really not being able to lock in like he used to be defensively. I think he's the only player this year to make 300 trey balls, so that's good. You know, shout out to Klay Thompson for being able to do that. But I think that the experience and the depth of the Warriors will ultimately be too much for the Kings throughout this best-of-7 series, and the Kings got home court advantage. But I just think, I don't know, you got guys like Kevon Looney. This is another team that is really hard to find holes within this team, because even what one guy lacks, you got another guy at a different position who can pick up the slack. Gary Payton Jr., really solid defensively. Again, the energy, the hustle, the IQ, the passing ability of White Dante. This dude is like the ideal Swiss Army knife. And I just ultimately think these are the things that's going to help the Golden State Warriors be able to. I think there's still a road game, which they haven't been very good at home. So you got to imagine that the Kings will be able to steal a game too, or as well, rather. And I think, you know, this is going to be the most interesting series throughout the whole playoffs. I really do. Tomorrow, we'll see. The first game is at 3:00 Eastern time. You know what I'm saying? Eastern time. And that'll be the Lakers and the Grizzlies, which I'm willing to bet that the Lakers are going to steal that game. It's really interesting when you look at the Lakers. We'll talk about it a little bit more after tomorrow's set of games. We'll talk about it a little bit more. The Lakers, it's really interesting that they lead the league in free throw attempts. And I think that with the absence of Brandon Clark and Steven Adams, I think that's going to hurt these dudes just as far as being able to have depth. I mean, they do still have depth, but as far as bigs go, hustle guys, people who can help out Jaren Jackson on the defensive end, I think that's going to hurt a little bit. I don't think Steven Adams, Big Grizzly, or Brandon Clark are expected to be back even throughout the entire playoffs, however far they advance or whatever. I got the Lakers winning tomorrow. I think ultimately Anthony Davis is going to be too much for them dudes. It's just going to be interesting to see. It's just going to be interesting to see. Even though the Lakers don't really have a lot of depth either. They brought in Tristan Thompson. I guess I don't know what they brought him in for. I guess they just brought him in because he cool with Bron. I don't really know what that was all about. But I do got the Lakers winning tomorrow. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about the free throw attempts and why I feel like they'll advance a little further than what I initially thought. All in all, it's been a great day. Great day watching the sports. Watching sports in general, again, the UFC fights and the NBA. if you went to the UFC. Them dudes be throwing hands all day, every day. Hands, feet, all that shit, man. But anyway, man, I'm out of here. I appreciate y'all checking me out, man. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.